Yes, you read that title correctly. Kamala Harris is now putting herself out there as the Second Amendment choice, the Second Amendment defender in this presidential race. You can't make this stuff up, folks. We are living in bizarro world. Like, they just, it is amazing to me the level at which they are willing to misrepresent reality. This comes out of yet another softball interview that she did with a podcaster. This right after she snubs Joe Rogan, having some insane demands, in my opinion, that the man travel to her and only spend an hour. She'll only give him an hour and he has to travel to her. Something that he has never done for anybody ever. He has to bend the knee for her. So it does not surprise me whatsoever that he's like, nah, get the heck out of here. Yeah, right. I wouldn't even, at my 400,000 some subscribers, would not travel for a Kamala Harris interview. I would definitely interview Kamala Harris because I think that it would be absolutely hilarious. She would never agree to that because she would never take actually challenging questions. Now, I suffered through this whole thing, and by suffered, I mean I had a really hard time making it through this interview. Thank you to the producer for it only being an hour long. There are some allegations that it's heavily edited. You know, I can't really tell because I'm not familiar with this person's content, whether that is their content style to do a lot of cuts in their post-production, but we have seen allegations of this in the past, and it is clear that in the past, the vice president has needed some help in post-production. So I can't really render a verdict without seeing more of this person's content, and that's probably not something that I'm going to do after this experience. To illustrate my point, I'll do the exact same thing in this video. I'll make unnecessary cuts for the purposes of pacing. It has to do with retinal refresh rate and things like that. We don't need to get off on that tangent. But I guess ultimately, having watched the entire thing, what I would say is I come away just feeling bad for his audience. And I'll just leave it at that. We're here to talk about the Second Amendment stuff, and we'll do that after we hear a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by XS Sites, and normally I would give you a whole spiel about how I've been using them forever and they're my go-to site, but not today. Today, we're talking about Glocktober, which is a month-long sale at XS Sites. Anything that they make that is related to Glock accessories, that is 10% off. On top of that, they've got a giveaway running. So go over to XS, check out what they got going on over there for Glocktober. It goes from the 1st of October through the 31st. So go check it out. Thanks to XS for making today's video possible. Now, Mr. Sharpe, I'm speaking directly to you for a second. While I do not respect your decision to carry water for Kamala Harris and the apparatus of government that she represents, I at least understand it. Look, man, you got to get paid. That said, I do respect your content rights, and I'm going to take as fine a snippet as I possibly can to get the point across because she has implicated the Second Amendment, and that's what we cover here on this channel. But to set the context, Mr. Sharpe asks her about the implication that Donald Trump, by many, is perceived to be better for the black community than she is. And she was asked directly why that is. And this is her misdirection.
Madam VP, whether we want to admit it or not, he's revered by some blacks.
But here's the thing. The question for everybody, should he be president of the United States?
Okay.
Right? That's the question. Should he have the ability to sit behind the seal of the president of the United States when he says he wants to terminate the Constitution of the United States? You know what that would mean? In the Constitution of the United States is your Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable search and seizure, your Fifth Amendment right, your Sixth Amendment right to an attorney.
Well, a lot of rights going to be gone. The First Amendment.
But the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. Yes. Look, I'm in favor of the Second Amendment. I don't believe we should be taking anybody's guns away.
I find it very interesting that she starts with the Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth Amendment rights, all rights that she has worked her entire life to subvert as a district attorney, throwing people in jail for a small amount of herb. I'm sorry, I did not actually mean to answer the original question for the vice president. That was not my intention. Who would possibly think that someone who has spent their entire career doing something that has adversely impacted a certain segment of the population in a big, big way would, I don't know, maybe have a negative impact on their perception of that person over their political candidate? I don't know. But again, that's not what we're here to talk about. The First Amendment. We're talking about someone who represents an apparatus that is currently leaning on social media platforms to censor people of political opposition. You want to talk about First Amendment implications? They are currently doing it. It just broke the other day that they are leaning on YouTube yet again to demonetize and deplatform conservative voices. Now, will YouTube bend to that? I don't know, but she is the representative of the people who are currently doing that. So please don't talk to me about First Amendment. As someone who currently lives under a regime who negatively impacts people's First Amendment rights to free speech and the ability to express themselves in public forums, please don't talk to me about how someone is going to go after your First Amendment rights, because it is already happening right before your eyes and you aren't saying dick about it. So please don't go there. Now, when it comes to the Second Amendment, Vice President Kamala Harris is currently the leader, the head of the gun control office at the White House. Now, it's actually called the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. But that would be like, to give you an analogy, let's pick our most rabid pro-gun organization. Easily, that is Firearms Policy Coalition. Lawsuit printer go burr, right? Easily our most vocal and active organization out there that is willing to sue anybody for anything that it could possibly be perceived to be adverse to the Second Amendment, right? The Office of Gun Violence Prevention would be like if Donald Trump walked in there and said, you know what? Firearms Policy Coalition now has an office in the White House, and they can now use the tools of government to do what they do. That is what the Office of Gun Violence Prevention has done for the rabid anti-gun organization. So please, for a second, can we just be literal and say that is complete and utter bullshit, sir? I'm sorry. That is not what is happening. So for you to just give her a pass on that is absolutely unconscionable in my mind. No, that is not what is happening. In fact, let's just go ahead and bolster her position, and we'll accept out of hand that he will have a quote unquote anti-Second Amendment position. I mean, we have been pretty critical here about his performance on Second Amendment issues in his previous administration. Let's just accept that premise for a second. He did one thing. The bump stock thing, which I do not agree with. And you can argue that he's come out and said, well, you know what? That was the NRA. They gave me some bad advice. Okay, I'm willing to buy that. The person that you're talking to is the person who is responsible for at least 3 separate perpetrations against the Second Amendment. Egregious overreaches of executive power, the pistol brace situation, the frame and receivers situation, the engaged in the business situation, all of which are currently being litigated in federal court. So please don't tell me, Madam Vice President, that you deserve a promotion on this issue, because you are exactly what is wrong with the current system of government when it comes to Second Amendment and infringing on the Second Amendment rights of American citizens. So please stop the bullshit, ma'am. You are lying through your teeth, and everybody can see it. Red flag laws, which literally means take your weapons from you without due process of law. People come to your house with guns, point them at you, forcibly remove your weapons from you, and then you have to petition your government to get them back without being convicted of any crime whatsoever. That's what a red flag law is. 2, universal background checks, a registry of all firearms transactions, past, present, and future. Registration has always, in the history of man, led to confiscation. 3rd, an assault weapons ban. Please, for me, Madam Vice President, define for me what the term ban means. That's all I've got for you guys today on the VSO Gun Channel. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully we'll see you on another one here pretty soon, provided that the current administration does not usurp my ability to do so and infringe on my First Amendment right, as they've been doing for the last 4 years. Vote early and in person.